With Madden 26 dropping in a few short months, I wanted to talk about some big possibilities for the game that could be happening due to the existence of the now EA Sports college football franchise. I mean, look no further than Madden 25 this past year. We saw a number of things come to Madden for the first time ever, and college football 25 was a big reason for that. So in this video, I'm going to talk about some pretty big things that I think are probably going to be happening in 26 that I think some people will be excited for. Now, we're going to be getting tons of news about both EA Sports College Football 26 and Madden 26 coming over the next month. In fact, I believe next week we're probably going to get some pretty big news for College Football 26 because they did say a full reveal was coming in May, and next week is the last week of May. So we should probably be getting some stuff like maybe the cover, trailer, some info and stuff like that. So if you don't want to miss out on any of the info for both of these games, make sure you subscribe and turn the bell icon on. That way you never miss any of these important videos when I drop them. I'm trying to get to 650,000 subscribers before the release of Madden 26, so if everybody watching just subbed up, we could hit that number in a few days. Now let's get the elephant out of the room and just start with this. Player movement. The two most drastic differences, at least gameplay wise, between college football and Madden is the player movement. EA Sports College Football 25 had really good player movement. It was very responsive, very fluid. It was a little bit faster, kind of more old school what we used to play 10 or so years ago, and people seem to prefer that much more. I know I do. Whereas the player movement in Madden is noticeably slowed down, it's more sluggish, it's not as responsive, and the reasoning for why they made the switch some years back, I believe Madden 21 on the current gen consoles is where the switch kind of took place. They wanted to slow the game down a little bit. They wanted to make the movement what they called more realistic so that it would feel maybe a little less arcade, because if you compare both college and Madden, you would say that the college game does have a little bit more of an arcade feeling to it, despite the fact that they're both considered simulation games. They're not arcade in the sense that NFL Blitz or NFL Street was arcade, where it's 7-on-7, it's really big player models, you can do crazy, ridiculous moves and tackles and stuff like that, right? When you put that out of the window, both games are definitely closer to a simulation than an arcade style. However, if you had to rate the movement systems, you would say, well, the college game is a little closer to arcade movement than Madden is. However, almost everybody says that the college movement is better. It's more fun, it's more fluid, and at the end of the day, we want realistic player movement, but we also want movement that's responsive, that's a little bit faster, and it lends itself to us feeling that we have more control, which is what we want when we have the controller in our hands. We want to make sure that we're doing things and we're getting that instant response on field. And after hearing all of the feedback over the years, but especially this year about how literally everybody prefers the college movement to the Madden movement, I think there's a good chance this year that they're going to finally just bite the bullet and say, look, we tried to do something a little different with Madden. People just have not really responded that well to it. You can't be in the same building working on these two games that are similar but do have their differences and continue to hear how the gameplay and the movement is just so much better on this newer game than this one that you've been working on much longer, because Madden's been around so much longer and it didn't take any breaks. I'm not saying that they're going to just go full on and use the exact player movement one-to-one from college, but I would be very surprised if they didn't at least speed up the Madden movement and maybe find a more middle ground. There's just no way, now that both games are out and after all of the feedback they've heard, that you can just continue to have them be so drastically different in terms of player movement, and you're getting so much good feedback on one and so much bad feedback on the other. At some point, you've got to kind of find a balance, or hey, just literally do what college did, and I think a lot more people would enjoy Madden, because at least the on-field part of the game, it would be so much smoother and more responsive. There's no guarantee they're going to do this, but at this point, it just seems like it would be a no-brainer for them to do it, and I'm pretty sure it's something we can expect, if nothing more, just an adjustment to the movement for Madden 26. Now we're going to continue on with some other big things, but really quickly, here's a word from today's video sponsor. I want to give a huge shout out to today's video sponsor, Raycon. Now, if you've been around my channel for a while, you already know about the everyday earbuds. I've been rocking with them for a while, and they're my favorite earbuds on the market for multiple reasons. For starters, their latest model is better than ever with a 32-hour battery life. But one of my personal favorite things about them is their new quick charge function, which gets you 90 minutes of battery life with just 10 minutes of charging time. So if I'm running late and I need to charge them really quickly, I can still get some good battery life. These earbuds also have active noise cancellation, which really comes comes in handy. If I want to just block everything out, I can just leave it as is. But if I want to put it in awareness mode, I just have to put my finger right here and I can change the mode to awareness mode, and that'll let me hear some of the things around me if I need to kind of be aware of what's going on. So for example, if I'm walking my dog, I usually like to use awareness mode so I can kind of hear what's going on around me a little bit. But if I'm in the gym, I just want to block everything out and I turn that off. Raycon also offers a bunch of these cool protective case covers for your charging case for these earbuds. That way, no matter what, you don't have to worry about them ever getting messed up. And with Father's Day coming up, Raycon has a great site-wide sale going on right now. Look, I know your dad's probably outside doing yard work. He does jobs around the house. I'm sure he'd love to listen to music or a podcast while he's doing these jobs. Go to buyraycon.com/Rayweather to get 15% off site-wide. Brought to you by Raycon. Go pick you up a pair and get you a pair for your pops as well for Father's Day. The next big way that Madden 26 is going to benefit from college football is Superstar mode. Now, this is the mode of the game that I've said for years is lacking the most, even more than a franchise mode, because these franchise over the years, they've kind of added a lot of stuff back that people wanted in the game. If you look at franchise mode from Madden like 18, 19, 20 compared to now, it's a pretty solid difference there of things that they brought back to the game and things they added. But Superstar mode is still the one that it feels like it's missing some stuff. And you could say the same for Road to Glory in college football. But we know that these are the two modes that they are kind of the most focused on building up because they need the most work. And in fact, when they dropped their trailer last month, it was centered around these two modes, and they let us know that high school was going to be coming to Road to Glory in college. Now, we didn't find out what really new was going to be coming to Madden, essentially, but we know that this is a focal point. This is the first thing they're leading with this year. But the way I think Superstar mode is going to benefit the most is because unlike gameplay, there are separate teams, at least to some degree, when it comes to Road to Glory versus Superstar mode. So essentially, you have two separate teams working on essentially the same mode. They're going to have their differences, but they are made to integrate seamlessly with one another. So instead of just having like 1 year of development for Superstar mode, you kind of get maybe more like a year and a half's worth of development, because a lot of the stuff that's going to be developed for college can also translate over to Madden. For example, I would expect this year that they're going to finally add more positions to these modes, because Madden has had the same positions in these modes since I think Madden 22 or 23. They haven't updated them in a couple of years. It's kind of about that time, let people be a safety, let them be a pass rusher. I mean, you should already be able to do that, but it's not there. Let people be a tight end, whatever the case may be. They may add some more positions, and now that you have two teams working on these modes that do integrate pretty seamlessly, if the college team adds more positions, well, Madden just benefits from that right away. If college adds more customization or more kind of like side quests, things that happen in the mode, you can kind of port that over to Madden as well, at least in the areas that it makes sense. So now we're going to see in Madden 26, I think Superstar mode probably have the biggest jump that it's had since it came back to the game in Madden 20 when it was initially called Face of the Franchise. It's kind of undergone some changes since then to be Superstar mode, but I think this year we're going to see the biggest jump in this mode, especially since they're leading with this in their teaser trailers, but also because you have two teams now that can kind of build both of these modes and they can benefit from one another. Now, this next thing I also think is pretty interesting, and it's player faces. Now, let me explain what I mean. When you look at all of the generic player faces in Madden and college football, you'd probably notice that the ones in college football are a lot better. Now, that doesn't mean that, they can't be even better than they are. They obviously have to, do some more work there, but I believe in college football this year, they were using like AI-generated faces for all of the, recruits and things like that, because in a game like college football, you have so many new players coming in and out of the game in a dynasty mode because of recruiting and because of player turnover, whereas in the NFL, you don't have as many new faces coming into the league. So in order to kind of, bring this up to a modern level, they did this AI generation thing, from what I was told, where you see a lot of different types of faces in the college game, whereas when you go over to Madden, you see a lot of the same faces that you've seen from years. They have updated them a little bit over the last few years. They've added some better ones, but I would say, at least half, if not more than half, of the generic faces in Madden, they look very outdated. They don't look this generation at all, and some of them just flat out look weird. Now, when college added this last year, my first question was, oh, great, well, Madden should be getting this too. And what I was told at the time was not yet, which pretty much just meant, not last year. But I think this year, if not this year, definitely next, but I do think this year in 26, we might see that implemented into Madden as well. And so now when you're creating players or when you are importing some of these players, maybe from college, if they open up the draft import this year, hopefully that's something else we get. But if you're doing that type of thing, you want the faces to kind of match up when you bring them over to Madden. You don't want the faces to look really good on college and then they look just completely nothing like that player once you bring it to Madden. Again, if they open up that. But even aside from that, if you have this technology and this great feature within college, I mean, it makes no sense for that not to be in Madden, because Madden is still your flagship game. It's still your NFL game. It's still the license that you pay ungodly amounts of money for. So I do think going into Madden 26, we could see them bring that technology, that feature over to Madden to make the player creation, to make the custom draft classes and all of that stuff look way better. Now, if you want to check out all of the little things that were kind of hidden in the recent teaser trailer, make sure you check out this video right here on the screen.